getting help for binge eating does not need to be complicated. But right now, there might be fear, there might be shame, there might be embarrassment, there might be feelings of frustration when trying to get support for ending your binge eating. And I really need to have an important conversation with you guys today because this is not talked about enough. So I made a reel yesterday. And I made this reel where basically I was acting out as if I was getting ready to get support for binge eating. And I was going to different professionals. And I was sharing how it's very easy to be brushed off. It's very easy to feel misunderstood. It's very easy to feel like nobody gets you. And this was a real situation that I had in my past when I tried to get support for binge eating. I would, the first person that I went to was my doctor because I was like, I don't know who to talk to. Like, I was just recognizing that I was binge eating. And when I finally recognized that, like, okay, maybe this isn't normal. Like, I don't think everybody thinks about food all day long. I don't actually think it's normal to be like binging in secret. I don't think it's actually normal to feel like I'm going through this out of body experience when I'm binging. Like when I first had this realization that I was binge eating, like first of all, that's a big step. Like acknowledging what it is that you're doing and realizing that it's not normal, that's a big step. But then I was like, who do I talk to? Like, none of my other friends tell me that they eat so much until their stomach hurts. Like, my other friends aren't telling me that they feel guilty about eating dessert. Like, none of my friends talk about this. Like, my friends can just go out for dinner like it's not a big deal. And then there's me that needs to plan for like an entire month if we're going out for dinner. So I'm like, who do I talk to? Like who can even understand me and not judge me? Because there's so much judgment when it comes to binging. Like I felt ashamed, I felt embarrassed, and I'm like, nobody can know about this. Like this is so embarrassing, I'm so ashamed, like I don't think anyone else does this. So if I believe nobody else does this, then who can I tell? Because I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed. So like, what do I do? So I'm like, well, I don't know. Like I have a doctor. Maybe I'm just gonna tell my doctor. And I remember just being so nervous. Like I was literally like pooing my pants. Like I was so nervous because I'm like, I don't even know what to say because again, I don't even know if my doctor is gonna look at me like I have 25 eyeballs because I don't even know if anyone else does this. So I was already judging myself before I even stepped in the doctor's office. And the day that I was gonna have my appointment to go see my doctor, I was like freaking out. I had so much anxiety. That morning, I literally had a binge because I was like so anxious about bringing this up to my doctor. And like, I've always felt like my doctor just did not understand me with so many other things, but that's a different story. So I was like so anxious. I literally had a binge before going to the doctors to tell my doctor that I had a problem with binge eating. So I was already so nervous and I walked into my doctor's office and I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like I was like trying to plan it in my head of like what to say so I don't sound crazy, but I also make sure that I get the point across that this isn't normal. Because when doctors can kind of just like brush you off and like tell you you're fine. And so I was like shaking. I was like so nervous and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember just telling him, I can't even remember because I think I like blacked out, but I said something along the lines of like, I'm just eating so much, like until my stomach hurts. Like I kept telling him like, this isn't normal. Like I'm just eating a lot at once and I just feel like I don't have any control. And what he said to me, he said, oh, well, this is okay. Like, maybe if you're stressed, sometimes when people are stressed, with work, like they just eat a lot. Are you stressed? And in that moment, I literally wanted to cry, but also scream at the same time, because I was like, okay, like we're 1 second in and I'm already not feeling seen. I'm not feeling understood. I wanted to scream and be like, who the heck is not stressed? Like, of course people are going to be stressed, but I'm not binging because I'm stressed. I know that, because there are some days I feel amazing, but like, I just know it's a habit. Like, I know that I've also spent 10 years of my life restricting. Like, this isn't normal. And he was like, well, like, do you have a stressful job? And I'm like, I love my job. At the time, I was a personal trainer and I was a health coach. I wasn't stressed. Like, I loved what I did. And again, everyone, of course, has a little bit of stress, but I'm like, I'm not like waking up in the morning, like hating my life and feeling super stressed. Like, I was living a good life and I loved what I did. So I'm like, no, that's not it. Well, are you feeling, any feelings of, maybe you're just depressed? I don't even think he asked me. I think he was like, oh, well, like you might just be depressed. And I'm like, I am not depressed. Like, I am happy. Like, you guys, when I was struggling with binge eating, I lived a good life. I had a great relationship. I had a great career, great family. Like things in my life were going well. I was not feeling depressed, and I knew that for sure. And I was like, I just need to know like how I stop my binge eating. And I literally left there. Like, I didn't even give my doctor any more time. I literally just left out. I just walked out. Like, obviously I said like thank you and stuff like that. I wasn't an asshole about it, but I felt so brushed off. I felt like this, and again, it's not the professional's fault. People are experts at what they're experts in. My doctor has never struggled with binge eating. I don't even think he understands what binge eating is, to be honest. And again, this isn't to put him down or to put other professionals down. That's not the point of this. But if you ever felt brushed off or you felt like nobody gets me, it's not your fault and you're not broken. The professional is just sharing the only thing that they know. Like, my doctor only really probably knew about stress and depression, but like, I'm like, that's not what I need. So I remember getting into my car and literally like bawling my eyes out, because I was like, I literally just mustered up the freaking courage to share this thing that I've been going through for 10 years of my life, and nobody knew about it. And I finally opened up, and I felt even more broken. I'm like, I already felt crazy, and now I felt even more crazier, because what, you're just going to tell me that there's not a solution? And so I was upset, but also I'm not the type of person that just like settles. I'm like, okay, maybe my doctor didn't understand me, but like, I'm going to find somebody who does. Like, that's kind of my mentality. I was sad, obviously, but I'm like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to like find somebody who gets me. And so I then started working with a naturopath nutritionist, and for some other like gut issue stuff. And I remember telling them, like, I can't be on a meal plan because it literally just messes with my mind. Like, maybe some of your other clients can be on meal plans, but I've been on meal plans for many years of my life, and it actually like stresses me out, and I feel very deprived. And when I feel deprived, I just like eat a lot. And I remember the naturopath, the nutritionist, was like, well, you can be a little bit more flexible with the meal plan. Instead of like rice, you can have quinoa, or like instead of quinoa, you can have sweet potato. But like, just, try to like stay within the meal plan. And I'm like, you don't get it. It's the meal plan that's making me feel out of control. Like, you tell me that I can be flexible, but like my mind is like all or nothing. So I'm actually not going to be flexible because I'm going to feel like I'm not sticking to the plan. Oh, but like, you can have a cheat meal once per week. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand, because you telling me that I can have a cheat meal once per week is literally me having a binge once per week, and then also multiple binges because I can't stick to your meal plan that you're giving me. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. No, you can be a little flexible with the meal plan. Like, you don't have to be perfect with it, but like, just try to stay within the range. And I'm like, I cannot stick to this. So again, a nutritionist, a naturopath is really there to like give you a meal plan because maybe you're deficient in something. And there is benefit in that if that's what you need. But as somebody who's struggling with feeling out of control with food and who has lived with food rules and restrictions their whole life, the last thing that you need is a meal plan. The last thing you need is better portion control. So I'm like, okay, my doctor doesn't get me, and this naturopath, this nutritionist does not get me either. Then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna give up. I know that this is not normal. Like, I'm gonna find a way to stop my binge eating. Because again, that's just who I am. I don't like stay stuck in struggles. I'm like, let's find a way to make this work. So at the time I was a personal trainer. Like I said, I was a health coach. I was a personal trainer. I was working at a gym before we had our fitness studio. And I just trained a client, a personal training client. And it was in the morning. And I had a little bit of a break before my 2 p.m. client until like 9 p.m., like the evening clients. And so in the morning, I trained a client, and I knew that I had a little bit of a break. And I was like, well, I'm feeling impulsive. Well, I'm feeling this urge. I'm just gonna go home and I'm just going to binge. I have a break. So like, this is a perfect opportunity. It's literally a perfect opportunity for me to just go home and binge. And at the time, nobody was home. And I was like, perfect opportunity for me to just binge and just not even care and just eat whatever I want, like nobody's home. And I remember, like, you know when you're about to binge, like, you know when you're planning a binge. And I remember, like, driving home and being like, I'm gonna regret this. Like, don't eat too much. Like, you literally have to go back and train clients. Like, you're a personal trainer. And you're gonna feel very bloated and you're gonna feel disgusting, but like, whatever, just do it. Like, you know, kind of that screw it mentality. And so, got home, nobody was home, and I literally had the strongest urge, like I could not dismiss it. I started eating one thing, I started eating another thing. I ended up in literally the freaking freezer, and my mom made these like chocolate chip banana bread things, loaves or whatever, all like individually wrapped. And I started taking one, and I started taking two, and then I started taking three. And you're in autopilot mode, right? Like, you know, when you're binging, it's like you're not even like your body's physically there and you're mentally checked out. And I was like just eating and eating and eating and eating, like literally like from the freaking freezer, like out of body experience, like no control whatsoever. And obviously there's so much shame, there's so much guilt, and like my mind was like, stop, and my body's like, just keep on going. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. And I can feel my stomach expanding, and I can feel the guilt just taking over my entire body. Like, Lorna, what are you doing? And there's a part of my, like another part of my brain that was like, it's okay, like tomorrow you'll do better. Like, you already messed up, like you already started your binge, you already had 5 loaves of banana bread, like just keep on going, like it's okay, tomorrow's gonna be better. And I think that was one of, like, obviously I'm not going too much in detail in how much I ate because that actually doesn't matter, like you guys get it. But that was probably one of my worst binges ever. And I sat down on the couch and I knew I needed to leave soon to go back to train my client. And I'm like, holy shit balls, like I feel like the biggest imposter, like this is crazy, like I just binged so much, now I'm gonna go train a client, like what the heck is going on? And I remember sitting on the couch, and literally like 5 minutes later, my mom came in, and she was like, oh, like, hey, how's everything going? Like, it's a surprise to see you here. And I was like, yeah, like I have a little bit of a break before I go back to my client. And then literally, like I just bursted out in tears, and I started crying because I knew, like, this was an even greater sign that what I was doing was not normal. And I was like trying to hold it in because obviously I didn't want to like share this with my mom, like what was going on, because I'm like, she's not going to understand. She's going to think like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, obviously my mom wouldn't think that, but I was just like, there's just so much guilt and shame and all that stuff, right? So, but I was like, I need to say something because I can't keep living like this. Like, that was very clear to me. I don't want to keep living this way. This is hell. Like, this is no way to live. Started crying. And I told my mom, I was like, I just ate literally so much. Like, this is not normal. Like, I don't have any control. And when you're telling a loved one, it's really easy for you to kind of downplay your struggles because at least this is how I felt. I didn't want my mom to worry about me, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I brought the point across so that she knows that like I need help. Like, this is not normal. But again, my mom like worries about everything, and so do all of your loved ones. Like, whether you tell a partner or you tell a friend or you tell a parent, like, they just love you. They want to quote unquote fix you. So a lot of the times they say like, oh, like, it's okay. Like, I overeat too. Or like, it's okay if you feel a little bit guilty. Like, everyone feels guilty. And I'm like, I'm not overeating. Like, I am going through this out of body experience. You do not understand that I'm not just overeating like you do. I understand everyone overeats, but I'm not just having like 2 slices of banana bread or 3. Like, I'm eating like a whole freaking loaf, and then I'm having this and I'm having this. And it's not even about the amount. It's the feeling, it's the shame, it's the guilt, it's the constant food thoughts. It's this out of body experience. Like, I felt like an animal was like taking over my body and doing things with food that didn't feel like me. You cannot tell me that that's normal. And obviously my mom like was just trying to sympathize with me because she didn't want me to feel bad. So she was like, it's okay. Like, you know, sometimes I'll have, you know, more chips than I would like. And, you know, I'd feel bad and I'd feel guilty. And I didn't want to not sympathize with her either, but I'm like, yeah, but that's not what I do. And so I basically made it pretty clear to my mom, I'm like, I need help. And I literally said that because I reached a breaking point where I was like, I need help. I am not going to live my life like this anymore. And my mom was like, okay, like we can spend some time like searching on the internet, you know, to try to find somebody to help you. She's like, I don't really know who can help you. Because obviously my mom couldn't help me. She didn't even know what binge eating was. But she was like, okay, like let's search on the internet to like help you get some support. I don't know what she typed in, probably like eating problems. Like, I don't even know what she searched up. I was like on the couch crying. And she was like, well, like there's like a eating disorder therapist. Like, you want to go see a therapist? And I want to make sure that I'm saying I want to make sure that I'm saying this in the right way because I'm not putting down anybody who goes to therapy or has a therapist. I'm not putting anyone down. I just know for myself, I didn't feel like I needed therapy. I'm going to explain why. I had a feeling that I was going to walk into my therapist's office and the first question that my therapist was going to ask me was, so tell me about your childhood. So, do you have a lot of trauma? And that's their specialty. Therapists, their specialty is going back to your childhood and healing the wounds, healing the parts of you that have been hurt and heal them so that you can feel better and you can, you know, progress. That's their profession, right? They're doing their job. And it's nothing about them. I just knew that that's not what I needed. I just knew. So I was like, well, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be open to a new approach. I'm going to try this whole therapy situation. I remember like sitting in the waiting office and I'm like, I just felt like I didn't belong. And again, just sharing my experience, not saying that this is your experience. I'm not saying anything's bad with therapy. Again, I'm just sharing my experience. I'm like sitting in the waiting room and I'm like, I just don't feel like I belong here. I haven't even gone in yet. I'm like, I don't feel like I belong. Anyways, go in. First question she says is like, so tell me about yourself. You know, tell me about your relationships. Like, how are your relationships? And I'm like, my relationship is fantastic. Next question. Okay, how's your family life? Oh, I have a great family life. Next question. Okay, well, how was like your childhood? Like, did anything happen in your child? I I had a great childhood. Next question. And then, like, there was nothing that we really even talked about because I knew again, I'm sharing my experience. I had a great relationship. I had a great family life. Of course, everyone has some type of trauma, but like for me, nothing dramatic happened in my childhood. I just knew that I spent 10 years restricting and fearing food. And I grew up as a competitive dancer. So there was the whole body image situation. There was, I'm not going to eat all day, so maybe I can lose weight and be smaller and be friend and centered. That was my story. So when this therapist was asking me about my childhood and my trauma and my relationships, I didn't feel understood because I was mentioning that I had an amazing relationship. I've never been happier. I've had an amazing family life. I've always had a good relationship with my family. Yes, sure, I'd be snappy sometimes with my mom. Yeah, sure, I would be irritable sometimes, but there was no crazy things happening in my relationships. And so I'm like, do you have any tools for me? So how do I stop my binge eating? Oh, well, we're gonna get there, but how's your, it was just going back to relationships and family. And I'm like, I thought I was going to leave here with an actionable step of what to do when I feel the urge to binge. Cause I'm an action person. You tell me what to do, I'm going to go do it. But there was nothing about that. It was just relationships and trauma and childhood. And I'm like, I get it. That's a profession. This is not for me. But again, I'm not the person that's going to give up. So I'm like, this was only one session. I'm going to go again. I went, I think 3 times, and I honestly, just saying this in the nicest way, I felt like I was wasting my time. I felt like I was not talking to somebody who's gone through binge eating, and she was supposed to be an eating disorder therapist, and I thought she struggled with it herself, but I did not feel understood. The reason I'm going to share obviously some more, but I just want to pause here to say, if you have ever gone to any of these professionals and you felt brushed off or you didn't feel seen, you are not alone. You are not broken. This was my story. And it can feel defeating. It can feel like, well, then I must really be broken if a therapist isn't understanding me, or if a doctor isn't supporting me, or a professional nutritionist or whatever isn't getting me. But you are not broken. It's really hard to get support from somebody who's never gone through binge eating themselves. And the reason I need to share this is because after I posted that reel, I've had so many people being like, this was the most realist thing that I've ever seen. Thank you for putting into words, what I have been feeling, but just nobody talks about it. So if that's you, I see you. So for me personally, I share this a lot. What worked for me was actually getting support from somebody who's gone through binge eating and who made me feel seen and understood. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I didn't have to explain what binge eating was. It was no, I understand what binge eating is, and here's an actionable tool. Here's exactly what to do. And a lot of my clients that come to me, they're like, Lorna, you just get me. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been in your shoes. I've gone through binge eating myself. So I know that you're not just overeating. I know how scary it can be to release your food goals. I get it. And one of my clients that I work with in the academy, she's like, you don't even know the questions that we're going to ask you, and you just nail it all the time. And I'm not saying this to boost myself up, but I'm just saying that I get it because I've gone through binge eating myself. And when you feel alone, the only reason you're feeling alone right now is because you haven't gotten the proper support from somebody who has conquered, who will make you feel seen and understood. You're not broken. You don't have to try harder. You don't have to try to just distract yourself. You don't have to spend years in therapy. You don't have to force yourself to follow a meal plan and just try harder. We'll just drink a lot of water to not give into your cravings. No, there's a better solution. Through rewiring your brain, through changing your thoughts, through not giving into your binge urges and having tangible, practical tools for when you feel the urge to binge versus, what you might have been told of like, just distract yourself, go to bed early, just go for a walk, call a friend. Like, that that's not what you need. You're like, okay, like that might work like 1 or 2 times, but like, I don't want to be calling a friend and taking 12-hour baths and like drinking water when I feel this urge. Like, I want this urge gone. And that's what I can help you with. But that's not the point. It's not what I'm trying to share here. I'm trying to share that if you've ever tried to get support from somebody like a professional and you didn't feel understood, like, I see you. And I'm not trying to put down the other professionals as well too, because they're doing their job, right? A therapist has every right to ask you about your childhood and your trauma. But when you know that that is not what you need, it becomes frustrating. So it's not wrong of them for asking you those questions, but when you know it's not what you need, it becomes frustrating. A doctor, they're not wrong for asking you if you're depressed or if you're stressed. It's a very valid question. But when you know that that's not what you need, right? When you know that that's not what you need, it's like, I don't feel seen. I don't feel understood. So I actually had somebody join my membership yesterday, and she watched the video of me sharing that. And I asked her, like, what made you want to join the Root and Rewire membership? She's like, well, I just know that you can help me because I've gone to so many professionals and I just didn't feel understood. And I came to your page and like I felt seen right away. And I know that you're going to have actionable steps. People always ask, how do I do it? How do I stop binge eating? My philosophy is getting to the root of your binge eating and rewiring your brain, helping you not give in to your binge urges, having more satisfying meals, honoring your cravings so that you have less binge urges, releasing your food roles, building up self-trust, getting rid of your binge urges so that you can be home alone, you can be on vacation, you can be around chocolate and you don't feel impulsive. When you have the proper tools and you feel seen, ending binge eating is so much closer than you think. Right now, it might seem so far away because you just don't have the proper tools. Or the community. Something else that's so important, and by the way, if you're watching here and you're a membership client, you're inside of Conquer or you're in my academy, say hello. The community aspect that I've created is extremely important. Feeling seen by me is one thing, but then having a community of other people who get you, who understand how amazing it is when you didn't give in to your binge urge and they're celebrating the crap out of you, how big of a deal it is when you were home alone. One of my membership clients shared that she's been able to be home alone on the weekends and not binge, and that's massive for her because she would always do secret eating. Like, the community gets you. The community is there to support you, to love on you. These people get you like no parent, no partner will ever get you. I had a client that just graduated the membership and she doesn't binge anymore. And she said, I've always had a really good relationship with my friends and my family, but they never supported me in the way that I knew I needed to be supported inside of your membership, Lorna, because binge eating is so specific. And if my friends have never struggled with binge eating, they're not going to get it. So I want to share this with you to help you feel less alone, but to also tell you there's support available. I have mastered how to stop binge eating. I've done it for myself. I've also helped so many of my other clients conquer binge eating, and you're not different. You're not different. You can do this as well too. And you're an action taker, so with the proper tools, like the actual tangible tools, the actionable things that you can do, plus feeling seen, plus the community and the accountability, there's no way you cannot stop your binge eating. There's literally no way. I've designed all of my programs to have the strategy of how to stop your binge eating through rewiring your brain, the mindset, because you got to have the proper mindset, the community aspect, and then the accountability. When you have that, you will conquer. Hey, Kim. Kim says, how do you join the membership? Just message me membership. message me membership and I will send you all the details, okay? Just DM me the word membership and I'll respond to you and I'll send you all the details. The membership is really the place to be. Like, it's the foundational tools to improve your relationship with food and break out of the diet binge cycle. If you're like, I don't even know where to begin, the membership is the place to be. That's like the first step in my coaching. It's the first step. It's all the foundational tools to get to the root of your binge eating, to learn brain-based techniques to reprogram your brain. So that's definitely the place to be. So if you have any questions, obviously message me if you have questions about the membership, but that's not what I wanted to come on here for. I wanted to come on here to help you feel less alone, to help you feel seen, to help you feel understood. Like, you might be thinking like there's no support available for me. I can help you. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, a doctor didn't understand me, my nutritionist didn't understand me, like, getting support from somebody who's been in your shoes will change the game for you. You deserve to feel seen, you deserve to feel understood, and you deserve to have actual tools that are gonna help you become less impulsive with food. Actual tools that will help you build up trust around trigger foods. Actual tools that will allow you to stay at home and have no urge to binge. One of my other clients, she said, like, I've tried so many things in the past and I was hesitant to join your membership because, like, I've tried so many different things. But she was like, the community was focused on, like, taking progress photos and weighing yourself. And I'm like, no, like, that's why you have a hard time sticking to things when you're doing these unrealistic things. Ending binge eating is not about portion control, trying harder, relying on motivation. It's actually about releasing your food rules, building up self-trust. Stop seeing food as good versus bad, not giving into your binge urges, ending secret eating, getting out of the all or nothing mentality. Right? You guys know the all or nothing mentality. It's like, as soon as you have something bad or off limits, it's like, oh, the whole day is ruined. We got to work on that. And that's exactly what I can help you with inside of my membership or inside of any of my programs. So I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. You deserve to end your binge eating. You will stop your binge eating. With the proper support, the community, and feeling seen, you will inevitably stop your binge eating. And I would love to support you. So thank you for being here. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing rest of your day. You are not broken. I see you. Bye, guys.